Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful. When the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. It is the 8th. Wait, do I have that in the title correctly? That it is the 8th? I do. I'm awesome. Hey, check it out. So today we've got that jobs report. Yes, that one. Calling it that jobs report because we all know we all know it's going to be bad, right? So, interestingly enough, the market doesn't seem too concerned about it. Equities have been moving up. Let's go and look at the charts. Where's my volume profile? I have to find it. There it is. All right, so here's the ES. Yesterday was look at these moves and look at that. Yeah, how much more congested that is. It was so annoying. Oh my gosh. They did end up moving higher and then all the way back. And then in the overnight, they just magically go up and get that point of control up there. It's just like, okay, whatever. I think there's a really good chance that they're going to sell today after the open, but we'll see. I mean, it depends on the news. Treasuries, really good move up yesterday that we caught pretty much the higher end of the range. I mean, look at that. Curious. Curious. What about the euro? Let's look at the euro. Okay, so here's the 6E. Oh, I have ES up on top. Here's the 6E. The 6E was moving up when the equities were going down. And kind of sideways. And actually some positive correlation. Here, the dollar index. See the dollar move down? So once again, we have a move up in equities based on dollar weakness. Man. Oh, Win says 7 people watching now. Oh, you lucky people. Yes, please hit like. Thank you very much. Let's turn on the text to speech. Come over here. What are we expecting for the numbers? Well, non-farms payroll private, we are looking for a reading of negative 21 million 50K. 21 million 50,000. Average hourly earnings, I'm looking at a reading of spot 4. When I was looking at, let's go check. When I was looking at Forex Factory yesterday, they were saying spot 5. They're still saying spot 5. They're looking for a reading of spot 5 versus a previous reading of spot 4 for average hourly earnings. That is odd to me. A reading of spot 4 would be above average. It's usually spot 3, and a reading of spot 5 would be equal to the highest reading that I've ever seen. We just had a major recession and average hourly earnings are going up. Makes you think, right? I suspect. Oh, yeah. Look at that. I want a piece of that. We'll see. I think they're going to sell it. Ishay, good morning. Hey, how are you? How are you guys? ECB reportedly asks staff to study potential purchase of junk corporate debt. Well, I would really like to buy the treasury right now, but I don't think I can justify that one. Right now, it looks like an opportunity to sell it. So we'll see. We'll wait on that one. We'll see how that one goes out.
Gary Rich says spot 5 versus 3 or 4, it's nothing. AVG hourly 36 per hour wage. Have to look inside the numbers. Duh.
So
Bot
are
says
you?
lucky me, I got here right at feeding time rolling on the floor laughing.
I know, right? I've been avoiding eating on stream for a long time, but today I just couldn't help myself. I wanted to get on. So, Gary, are you suggesting that the average hourly wages number is slightly higher than usual because people are working less hours? Is that what you're trying to say? My, oh my. Not what we wanted. We're just gonna have to we're just gonna have to go in without protection, folks.
Junior
This is
says
a
good
gamble.
morning everyone.
Do not do this at home. This is a sim account.
Winston's mom says yes, and speculator Seth has not even offered us a cup of something hot.
Here
We
comes.
know he won't offer us coffee. Lol. Morning bots Gary Rich and everyone I can see in the chat.
Oh, so bad. Okay.
Bot says MES just got hit with a 15-point flash bar.
Gary Rich says the overnight session is slow giving back the gains.
Okay, the average hourly number that I'm getting is must be wrong. It's saying 4.7% versus an expected spot 4%. And the non-farm payrolls private number that I'm getting is 0. These numbers can't be right.
Bot says blew out every stop up to 2,914.75 got trashed.
Oh, I bet.
Kevin Wimmer says getting the same on investing.
Okay, I get on forexfactory.com non-farm employment change 2,050,000 versus an expected 22. Better than expected on that one. It's not giving me the hourly earnings yet though. It's saying 4.7. What the fuck? Well, that's interesting. So tempted. Treasuries got dumped on there. How did I manage that? Oh, damage wasn't too bad. Cool. All right. Bad spot.
Kevin Wimmer says that shows why you should not gamble and sit in a position during big news.
I know,
Reverse
right?
the hold down move in 1 minute.
I somehow managed that okay. I guess if I had been long, it would have been good, but for sure. I wanted to play and have fun with a sim account.
Winston's mom says CNN reports 14.7% unemployment. Breaking news. Gary
So
Rich says just wait for it to get exhausted and turn, washing out the weak stops.
I think you might be right, Gary. I don't think that this is good. Average hourly earnings 4.7. That 4.7 is not a mistake.
Bot says NFP numbers from Trading Economics.
Baron Glass says MNQ already turned almost back to pre-news levels. Winston's mom says 20.5 million jobs lost. CNN.
For spot 7, it's right. The treasuries.
Gary Rich says they're going for that 0200 overnight high. Watch for the turn up there or close to it.
Yeah, that's something gonna fill. Hmm.
Kevin Wimmer says crazy to think that the Nasdaq is like 550 points away from all-time high.
Bot says 2 o'clock oven high looks like a Frankfurt Wackay mole.
Kevin Wimmer says compare that to the Amini, which is also 500 points away from all-time high tears of joy.
Well, 500 points is still a lot in the E-mini, right? That's still like 15% off of the highs. There was a time when I thought 15% off was reasonable. Now it doesn't seem to make sense. And I really don't read those numbers as good, but I guess they're better than expected. I don't know. It's kind of weird to me. Is that going to be a shooting star right there? I've got a few seconds. Nah, see, they rescued it. They rescued it.
Gary Rich says Nasdaq is back due to the big six who are cap-weighted. They lift the entire index as drag it down. Nasdaq is in its own atmosphere.
Oh yeah. These tech companies earnings have not really been affected a whole lot from this pandemic and are still relatively high and are holding everything else up. I think we're going to get this sort of a thing where different industries are going to be going in opposite directions and because everybody's in index funds, the market is having some weird behavior. Yeah. Okay, well, it looks like they want to go long. You need to think for a second.
Winston's mom says tonight, the moon in the sky is a super flower moon. It is the fourth and last supermoon of the year 2020.
Bot says MES moved on the 8:30 bar in front of the NFP report.
Winston's mom says the term supermoon was coined by the astrologer Richard Nally in 1979 and it refers to either a new or full moon that occurs within 90% of perigee.
Here's a great one. Joe Scarborough, jobless rate soared to 14.7%, the highest since the Great Depression. This level of pain could have been avoided with planning from Trump. The time hoping for miracles is over. America is moving towards a depression. It is time for the White House to lead. Does that sound to you like the words of a journalist? What
Baron
the
Glass
hell,
says bots
Joe?
At 8 hours 29 minutes and 45 seconds the spike started.
I would love to know what he thinks the administration should have done and what the unemployment rate should be right now.
Gary Rich says everyone got happy feet with rumors of trade deal back on. Commodities traded up on this.
Well, I'm seeing something.
Bot says exactly at Baron Glass.
Come on. They're like, oh, we can't trade into that price. That's where Seth has his limit order.
Masiak says hi guys.
Hello, how are you? What about rumors of a
Masiak says how are you doing?
rumors of a trade deal back on? I mean, wasn't that trade deal always back on? Well, I gambled on it a little bit for fun and it didn't work out. But now I'm trying to make sense of the market action, and it's a little confusing to me. I mean, I suppose I understand the E-mini moving up and the treasuries moving down. I see that the euro moved down too, though. Overall, I see interesting data in the jobs report, but I'm not so sure that it really has a long-term impact. Let's see here. President Trump asked about the U.S. jobless numbers, says all those lost jobs will be back very soon, reports Fox News.
Bot says interesting that it was exactly one tick longer than the actual 8:31 bar moved open to high after the news was out.
Look at it on a second chart or a range chart. Actually, we can do that. I can see that, no, they didn't really move until, well, in ES at least. Interesting. It actually isn't as big. I kind of remember looking on this range chart down here and it like not being very useful. You can recall all of that. And because it was like the ranges were so big and the amount that it was trading was so far in a bar and everything, but that's not really happening.
Air Cages says Bitcoin making me some good money this week.
I saw that it was at 10K. Where are they now? They're a little bit off of it. Interestingly enough, the cumulative delta and the futures are not really doing anything. It really looks like a speculation fueled move. Like people are the people that want to buy it. I don't think that there's like new people entering the market, but the people that are interested in Bitcoin are like really interested in owning Bitcoin because of this happening for some reason.
Air Cages says, is there any other kind?
Yeah, so it's like, well, I just always makes me nervous. Well, not nervous, but I just think that you got to think of it from that trading perspective of like who's gonna buy if you bought it here, you bought it at 10K, who's gonna come after you and buy it from you? There needs to be new people, right? So we need a reason for new people to come in. So is there having a reason for new people
Winston's
to come in?
mom says, good morning, Masiak, and how is your world this morning?
It doesn't seem to be responding for quite some time to my model, which has been extremely effective for the long run. So I don't know. It doesn't the happening event does not interest me from a trading perspective in the least bit. Okay, well that signal ended up being good. I think just there was a little bit of bad luck on the first fill, but the deltas in the E-mini are all sorts of messed up. The treasuries are bid, so there's all of these bid orders down here looking to catch it for a new low. You might have a few too many people short here or something, but that's basically why they've slowed down so much. It's going to take some real shoving to get through there if they want it. It's not like extreme enough that I would be betting on a reversal or anything, but Swiss government to produce 65 million SFR to support daycares affected by coronavirus income shortfalls. German finance minister Scholz confident Eurogroup will make decision on criteria for countries to get a loan from the ESM. Something that really concerns me is the markets are I mean, I think we all agree at this point. I don't like saying it like this because to me it doesn't sound like a factual argument, but I think that we all agree the markets are up because of central bank and fiscal stimulus, right? So what's scary to me, the thing that bothers me, is that the markets are up big time, and the governments are still talking about we need fiscal stimulus like it's
Gary
like a
Rich says
dire
WHO
situation.
says COVID from bats can go to cats. HMM the rat ate the cheese. Cat ate rat. Dog eats cat. Chinese eat dogs.
Oh my gosh, Jerry. Sounds like a clickbait headline. I was seeing, headlines the other day like, oh, it can be passed from dogs. Is coronavirus going to be passed by animals now? That's so dangerous. And yes, okay. I'm well past the, at this point, I'm assuming that we're all going to catch it. I think we're all going to catch it, right? It seems that not everybody has come to that conclusion.
Air Cages says I kind of feel like there's going to be a great long setup for altcoins once we sell the halvening news and people realize BTC is not going up anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if that's what has to happen though. Like that's the thing. To me, it's overvalued. So when I see that it's overvalued, I'm always thinking, yeah, they overextended. They're gonna come back like that,
Gary Rich says you haven't seen the videos of people in China eating dogs.
Oh, I know that they eat
Live boil
dogs.
them. Terrible.
I just don't care. But with Bitcoin, it can be that it goes like this, and true value is way down here. But true value is going to increase because of the halvening. So why can't you do this? You know what I mean? It doesn't have to come back. But there is definitely a point at which it has to come back, right? Because if it's being bumped up by new buyers, somebody's going to take profits, and then that kind of creates that cascading effect where these guys are losing money and these guys, and it basically will just keep going until people are willing to hold, or it's down so low that you get more buyers than sellers. It's kind of a difficult thing to think. Like from a trade perspective, the whole trade just doesn't make sense. Like right here, right now, it doesn't make sense. You think that Bitcoin halving is going to increase the value?
Gary Rich says true value is the sucker who buys it at a higher price than you.
You're gonna buy it at the top. And then what? It's going to go to 20K like right away or something?
Air Cages says altcoin season is where the real money is made. Winston's mom says the NIH report said that ferrets are susceptible to this virus. My Juliet ferret and Mika ferret may be canaries in our coal mine. If they get sick, sad to say, we may know someone is contagious here.
Yeah, but they might get it and you might not even know it. Anyways, it's just it's like it's buy the rumor, sell the news, right? If the event is coming, when the event happens, that's you and it's up. Hey, great job! You got the trade. You take your profits there, right? Like it just seems like something that is destined to collapse back down on itself. And I really can't, going back on my charts, I don't see a spot where they were like buying it up into the halvening. Halvening has always happened in a spot where Bitcoin was really low and basically ended up becoming a spot at which it rebalanced the market. Like if Bitcoin ever became like if the thing that its proponents wanted it to be, which I don't think it ever will.
Gary Rich says Seth hates BTC and cryptos. Yeah. Oh, he sells a report. Lol.
If you should, well, I don't really consider that selling a report. I actually. So here's the thing with the Patreon. I set the Patreon up and I put a price on it. I gave it $5, and the reason I did that was because I was going on the theory that when you charge for something, that putting a price on it creates demand. Like if you say that it's free, then people think, oh well, then it must not be that valuable. But if they see a bunch of people paying $5 a month for it for years, then there must be something valuable about it, and that would attract people. I think at when we had put it out, I think maybe that did happen, but the indicator has not seen as widespread adoption as I would like. So I am kind of thinking like, maybe we should just put it out there. I don't know, because I feel that it there's fundamental things about the market that I think the cryptocurrency community has dead wrong. And I think that the cryptocurrency community benefits from learning the truth. And so far, the indicator has been extremely useful, even if it hasn't been telling us to buy it, because it has been able to. I mean, the theory behind why it moves has been able to predict some of the more significant movements. For instance, the theory behind it correctly predicted that in a recession, Bitcoin doesn't move up. So if the fact that I'm putting it on Patreon, because when I put it on Patreon, I consider it a donation, and I appreciate those of you guys that contribute to the Patreon. But I consider it a donation. Even if your Patreon were free, I still wouldn't read it. Okay. You're an asshole. Anyways, so I want to get it out there more, but I haven't really been focused on it, I guess, because I just really don't care what they do right now. It's like, well, if they're not gonna give me my trade setup, then I'm just not gonna touch it. What are your thoughts about scalping Bitcoin? Don't do it. So here's the issue with scalping. And not the issue. I don't want to say issue because that makes it sound like, oh, you can't be profitable scalping that, which is not true. But the challenge that you get when you're scalping is that the amount that you're taking from it is very, very small. Like your edge is very, very small because it's such a short time frame. So the shorter the time frame, the smaller your edge is, but potentially the more reliable it can be. That's the theory, at least, right? And so you're taking these tiny little amounts. Well, in Bitcoin, the amount that they can move on a limit move is so much more than that. So I've known a lot of people that have come to me and they've been scalping Bitcoin with order flow techniques, and they've been quite effective. So the kind of techniques that I use in the treasuries, from what people have shown me, appear to work in Bitcoin. But then these people disappear. What'll happen is one of those limit moves will come along and they'll disappear. Eventually, they end up on the wrong side of it. So that's where I really think that with Bitcoin, the volatility is so much that you just want to identify a optimal risk reward location and just buy it and consign yourself to the idea that you could potentially lose all of it. But you're taking it in a good risk reward position and you took a good trade. That's why I have my good risk reward position in my Bitcoin valuation indicator. And it's just, I mean, I write a note on it, but I guess the note is just, well, I don't know why I write a note, but I write a note. But the main thing is the chart, and it's just supposed to be, this is a number that I generate. It's worked well in the past, and you can see very clearly on the chart where it's worked well. But, you know what? Fuck you, Twin Dog. And actually, it just gave me a stop. It just gave me a counter signal right there. So, anyways, so yeah, that's the way that I think you gotta do cryptocurrencies. But then there's this other side of this, which is that you have to have like at that point you're investing. right? So I think that you have to have a trade thesis. Well, that Bitcoin value will go up because of scarcity. I think that's true. I think that's true. I question your ability to pick a good spot just off of that alone, right? So that leaves me out. Oh, well, if it ever comes back and it gives me my signal, then I'm going to dump everything I can into it. But until then, they y'all can continue to buy it, and I don't give a fuck. Mm-mm-mm. Well, I should have probably have taken that off earlier, in fact, but I did get a good signal. I actually am seeing something that suggests that we might turn back down again. It's not something that's enough for me to have confidence in taking a trade on it. Because I'm looking at it like... let's say that we can get it from here. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. No, I killed my chart. Fuck. Fuck. God damn it, Ninja Trader. No, don't save the workspace. There we go. Yeah, Treasury's still looking down, huh? Oh, that reminds me. Okay. It's okay. It's okay. Seth, when was the first time you heard about Bitcoin? The day it was created. Literally the day it was created. No joke. I remember it on Reddit very well because I said, okay, so what they've done is they've created the ultimate bubble machine. That's what I said. And I think we could probably go back in my Reddit history far back enough and find it, I think. I'm pretty sure that I said that it probably will be worth something, but that it's so dangerous that I can't recommend messing with it. Where's your camera? I'm over here. Now that our chart is back. Control F3. Okay. From here to here. I need to change the drawing thing. That's the problem. Snap mode disabled. Okay. Oh. Oh, because I used a ruler, that's why. I wanted this. Okay. From here to here. Okay. So it's reasonable, I guess. But I don't know if that's enough of a thing. I think that they could totally base here and move through the thing that I'm seeing. Anyways, I know I'm totally spending a bunch of time on something nobody cares about.
Bear Cages says, "Ah man, first day, huh? And you never tried mining it or anything like that? You could
Yeah.
mine a bunch of coins with your CPU. You would be rich."
But the thing is, obviously, I didn't know the things now that I knew back then. You know, I definitely was still a techie, and I knew a lot about finance. You know, I was very interested in it. But my whole thing was I didn't know enough about the short-term trading to have any chance of being able to navigate it correctly. And the fact that it's just like a dangerous, risky thing, you know, kind of outweighed all of that at the time. And the whole like I could have just mined it was like, you know, I didn't know how easy it would be, and I didn't know, you know, there was lots of things. And of course nobody knew that it was going to be like ASICs were going to come along and all of that stuff. So, you know, the monetary policies and everything about it, or the monetary theory about it, I think I was correct on that. But I didn't know how to trade it, so I didn't trade it. What year was your finding? It was like 2010, right? I think it was 2010. Let's go look. It was like shortly after the crisis, 2009, January 2009. Yeah, I very specifically remember the Reddit post and commenting on it. It's kind of weird to me that it was considered so like unknown. Oh, hey, it's actually a little late now. I'm not paying attention.
Gary Rich says 2008, 2009. You didn't see Mt. Gox issue or fraud in 2011.
So I don't recall. I definitely knew what Mount Gox was and all of that. Um, I remember thinking that like, hey, this is a bubble. But I didn't have my valuation thing at the time, so I was just saying that from my gut, you know. I didn't have any data to back it up. Now I have the data to back up, and it shows very clearly that Mt. Gox was that Bitcoin was being pumped artificially, right? It's a great thing. The model, like historically, it's been really great. It's just been this past 2 years or so, right? And it's not even. I don't even think you can say the model is wrong. It's just not giving a buy signal. You're missing out, and there's really only two possibilities. Either one, the model is wrong, or things have changed and the model isn't useful anymore, or Bitcoin is being artificially pumped by Tether, which is very likely the case. So I'm gonna stick with it. I think it's my best edge. And hey, I've saved myself a lot of money and grief by following that edge, because man, so many of these runs that you guys have get all excited about have ended in disaster. I mean, I remember the last time we were at 10K. I remember the last 3 times that we were at 10K, and I said, I'm not interested in it. And y'all's trying to get me excited or trying to get me to buy into it. And then what happens? They completely collapse. Oh, whatever. I think it's funny, like,
Gary Rich says BTC is being manipulated by low float strategies.
Yeah, well, maybe. I'm convinced that they're printing
Air
money,
Cages
and
says
it's
imagine witnessing the genesis of this thing and watching it go to 20K without owning one.
yeah. Why would you? No, that's not. See, this is exactly the kind of attitude, Air Cages, that creates so many failed traders. Oh, I should get into this trade. Maybe it could go down. I don't have any reason to think that it would go down. I don't know some signal or thing that tells me that I have a good probability of making money on it moving and it going down. No, I want to think that it's going to go down. So I should sell it. But then I didn't do it. So it went down. Oh, I was right. I guess I better go in and do what I wanted to do all along and get into it. Oh, crap. I'm in late and now I'm underwater. I have to sell. This is why traders fail. Don't trade it if you don't have an edge. Period. That's great. It can go to $1 million. I'm not going to trade it without a reliable edge. Other people want to make $1 million gambling, then let them. But far more people lose money from Bitcoin than make money from Bitcoin. That indicator last peak, it said it was overbought. It said sell. I know people that literally saved hundreds of thousands of dollars from that thing. I was referring to getting Bitcoins when they were basically free. Well, like I said, I didn't know anything about it. I knew that Bitcoin was there and I knew that it was a cryptocurrency, but I didn't know how mining worked. I didn't know how the algorithm worked.
Masiak says, yay, I agree with you. Psychology is very important.
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing about this psychology, and this is where we get in and we can look at Seth and his videos and what he does, is even if you have an edge, the psychology can trick you into
Gary
doing
Rich
stuff.
says the man who sells a Patreon on BTC and he will never buy BTC because it's undervalued all the way to zero.
Well, I did buy it.
So funny, man.
When the indicator gave us a buy signal, I took it. It went to 6K. I bought it. It went to 10K. It said it was overbought. I sold it. Boom. Perfect. I picked the bottom and the top of that swing. It was a perfect trade. And then ever since then, it's been overbought. Oh, well. I made money on it. I made like $2,000.
Jose Gill says, who did you just name of the psychology name in YouTube?
Well, I was just talking about me. I didn't name anybody. Mark Douglas is the one that everybody talks about reading for psychology.
Air Cages says, I remember those BTC faucets that used to give out free Bitcoin. I was too stupid and didn't bother because I didn't get the whole thing.
Yeah. You just got to remember, I didn't want to have anything to do with an asset that was so risky, right? Like my understanding and ability to take advantage of risk was completely different.
Gary Rich says, read Ari Kiev books on trading psychology.
Now I understand when it's okay to take risks, you know? And probably, frankly, I'm sometimes too willing to take risks. But the point is, if you want me to buy it right now, like, not interested.
Gary Rich says, every asset is risky, Seth. Come on, stop making excuses.
Yeah, like there's risky and then there's Bitcoin, dude. Like, come on. You're telling me that the risk that I take on trading a 10-year treasury is the same thing as the risk that you take on buying Bitcoin after it's just had a 30% run? Come fucking on, dude. Get real. Like seriously? I love you, Gary. I really do. But that's just fucking stupid.
Gary Rich says, yes, yes.
That's just fucking stupid, dude. They're not even comparable risks. It's not even comparable. You're talking about something where you're literally going to lose everything that you have in a minute. You can literally lose everything that you have instantly with that thing. And in treasuries, I guess it's possible, but the chances of that happening are extremely, extremely remote. In Bitcoin, it happens every week if you're leveraged on it. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Frank Martin says anybody trade oil. My broker wants you to have 100K in account to trade one contract.
Well, Frank, that sounds like that broker is saving you from yourself because oil is also super risky and difficult to trade. Super risky and difficult to trade. Let the FOMO flow through you.
Air Cages says yes, let the FOMO flow through you.
How I have zero desire to trade it. That's why, like, I remember one person saying, oh yeah, when you finally FOMO into buying it, that's when I'm gonna sell. It'll never happen. I have a strategy. When the indicator says buy, I buy. When the indicator says sell, I will sell. And that is it. And if it goes higher, who cares? So until they come down to what I consider a reasonable valuation level, I'm not going to touch it.
$305,790 says you could apply the Peter Lynch cocktail signal with Bitcoin near its peak.
Yeah. Well, and so that now you're getting me on a slightly different. So if I could change the subject slightly, so I'll tell you something. In this run up in the equity indexes, I see real signs of Peter Lynch's cocktail theory. Okay. When I started trading, when I started this channel, I searched YouTube for people doing stuff about trading. I found some people doing stocks, but I could not find anybody. There has been, since I started this channel, several people that have started channels about futures and even live streaming it. And I think there are some that are even more successful than me at it now, too. But there's a lot of them. YouTube, it's always showing me stuff now. Holy crap. People that, no idea if they make money, like no way to even verify that they do. At least with me, you can watch and you can see. And I don't make any claims. I don't make any claims. But to me, it's like you got to be responsible. Man, there's all these people. I go on Reddit, I go on Facebook. They've been trading like a month and they're like, well, I'm profitable. I've been able to gain alpha and this X thing works. It's been a month. You've been trading literally a month. Like, seriously. You're going to lose everything, dude, if that's your attitude, because a month is nothing. There's a whole yearly cycle, and you could have your strategy, and maybe in the summer, your strategy is a disaster, and you're going to lose everything in the summer. This is one that happens. Hey, be aware. Summer trading is different. 1 month. And so I've been streaming this for 3 years. I don't make any claims. I definitely feel in many situations that I don't know what's going on. This market in particular confuses me quite a bit from a fundamental perspective. And then you get all of these people all over the place literally trying to tell me what to do. Like, okay, put up your stats. So I'm on YouTube, there's a Facebook group, the Futures Trading Facebook group, not ours, but some other ones. And there's this guy, and he's posting like, "Oh, hey, here's this signal that I've got, and here's the numbers that it's giving." And I'm like, "Okay, so like, have you back tested it? How long have you been trading? Oh, this is just an idea that I had, and I programmed it up today, and I want people to test." Okay, so you just wrote something. You haven't done any testing or whatever. You're giving it to people and posting about it on Facebook and basically telling people to trade this thing. You literally have zero clue if it works. How irresponsible can you be? You're talking on the internet and you're sharing trades. Like, hey, I don't want people to feel like they shouldn't share their trades. But don't come in and say, hey, this works unless you have evidence that it does. So yes, I see the cocktail theory very strong. I see tons of people getting into markets right now and saying a ton of shit that they are not qualified to say and taking trades that they're not qualified to make with absolutely zero evidence or any idea that any of what they're saying works. Joe Jose says that is unethical. I think it is unethical. I do. It's unethical. He says, get off your high horse. Well, I don't make any claims. That's the thing. Did I ever? I've never said. I've never said I'm a great trader. You should follow my trades. What I do is I will backtest things and I will say, well, I have some statistical evidence that suggests that if I trade this, that it can work. But you really shouldn't try and shadow my trades. I don't want you to shadow my trades. I've never said that, right? So yeah, guess what? I can be on my high horse because I don't do that shit. Huh? Be responsible. Don't tell people to take trades that when you don't have a historical edge with it. But the point of that was really more the cocktail theory. There is something weird going on in this market. We are literally, what is it? Whenever you get the cocktail theory, that's always the sign that we're at a market peak, right? But what we're doing now is we're getting the cocktail theory in the midst of a depression, practically. It's kind of weird, right? I don't know what happens. Well, they moved down, but I didn't really get any kind of good idea that I could take that one. So it got me out at the wrong spot, but that'll happen. And that's kind of the problem with this one is that with that arrow is that sometimes it buys the top, and I haven't figured out a way to filter those ones out yet or how to tell which ones they are. I can see that treasuries have flattened out a little bit. They're pulling. I don't know if that's enough for it to flip still.
Air Cages says, what's this cocktail theory you're talking about? Never heard of it.
Yeah, so go and read the book One Up on Wall Street. That's where it comes from. And if you haven't read it, then too bad. I think the more popular notion is when the shoe shine boy is giving you stock tips, that's you're close to a market peak. But Peter Lynch said it was the cocktail theory. It was when he would go to a cocktail party and people would be giving him stock tips. Seems to me, based on what is happening fundamentally in the economy, that nobody should want anything to do with markets. And yeah, I have all of these people trying to tell us what to do. And frankly, a lot of people telling me things that I know for a fact don't work. Like that I've gone and I've done the probabilities on it and they don't work. Somebody's sent me a link of somebody that was predicting a huge drop overnight and it didn't happen. I got to tell you, I am super surprised that they moved up in the overnight session as much as they did. Oh, well, we got the open here in 6 minutes. You know what? We can minimize this right here, and I can just move the mini over here. That way,
Luis Alarid says stock tips from this one guy that lived in his car was my first exposure to the stock market.
Oh, really? So my first exposure to the stock market was I worked at it I want to take that one, but it's not. No. It's it was an online, we called it an online, it was a cyber cafe. They called it an online gaming center. It was actually a pretty cool place. They were actually pulling money, but then it had been so long they needed to upgrade their computers and they couldn't spend the money to upgrade their computers again. So they had actually like stabilized as a business, but then it was like you have to invest more and you don't make enough money to pay for the new hardware. Sucks, right?
Air Cages says shine ya shoes govna. Buy Bitcoin.
And this guy, he came in once and he was interested in it because it was a cyber cafe. And this was like 2003, all right?
305,790 says that's right, Seth. Too many disingenuous people.
So this guy, he said that he worked at a trading cafe, or what did he call it? An arcade. He called it a trading arcade. So it was a place that it was here in Salt Lake, I guess, where you would go and, you know, they would have the nice connection and the nice computer for you and you paid for a seat and then you traded your own money there. And it was an arcade. And he was making money. He said that he was like into millions of dollars trading stocks. But you all know what happened, right? 2001 came along and all of the guys that were trading stocks just got decimated, and the day trading industry of that just got obliterated. So yep, that's what happened. He lost it all. He said that in the course of a month he lost it all.
NFP report 3 for 3.
Yeah, yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, I forgot to start it.
Air Cages says when your milkman starts giving you investment advice, you know it's time to stop drinking milk.
Anyways, he lost everything. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. I didn't really think of it. I really didn't become interested in it until 2008, because in 2008 the realization that I made was that, because I was interested in politics, and in 2008 I realized that your ability to help the world and do things from the political world is actually quite limited. The business world are the ones that actually have the ability to do things, and that if you want to make a difference, then go and work in these companies and make sure that there's good people in these companies that know what they're
RJ Wheel
doing.
says Obama inspired you?
No. Just watching the whole crisis unfold, I said there needs to be smart people. It was so insane, alarming to me that people were saying, like, oh,
Luis Alarid says the pattern day trading rule came into effect in 2001, right after the collapse of the dot-com bubble.
That would maybe be part of it. It was like everybody hated Wall Street. No, they make too much, and all of these people are wicked and all of this, and I'm like, so you want stupid people to in the financial industry, so that like, are we really safer with dumb people in the financial industry? And I enjoyed my time in the financial industry. I believe and I feel we made a difference. I did things when I was there that made the financial system safer. Their ability to confirm that their systems do what they do is significantly better than it was. They still make mistakes, but it's been a lot better since we made those changes. Their ability to see their risk and to put a stop to somebody that's taking unacceptable risks is much higher because of the work that we did there when I worked there. And I think I made a difference. And I think that with the things that I do now, that we make a difference. It's getting better, but it's we have such a long way to go in terms of making the online marketplaces for healthcare in a place that's acceptable. I think the websites are still too slow and stuff like that. But I digress. I think you can have a bigger difference in the private industry, and I think that part of it is just trading. As part of it is just understanding the way that the markets work, so that you can put that work in, I guess.
Air Cages says, what are we overlooking today that we're going to be talking about in 2030, kind of like Bitcoin?
Well, I don't know what exactly is going to be the metric that ends up mattering to people, that they end up caring about, but it sure seems to me like that this market is doing something that's not rational. It seems to me like people are buying it because it's going up, you know, which I hate. And it also seems to me that some of the mechanisms that we would normally have that would keep us within reasonable valuations are not functioning correctly right now. They have been weakened in coronavirus. And so at some point we're going to get to a number where it's it's so obvious at that point that we're going to have to come back. But is that today? I sure hope so. I got awfully excited watching the close yesterday. I was working, but I was watching it and placing, stupid sim trades on it, trying to see if I could get a swing trade. Excuse me. I got awfully excited, but then wiped it all out overnight. It's just what you gonna do? Should check a couple of things. Oh, that actually had a little bump up there. Oh, just these last 3 minutes. Well, that was a little bit too tepid. They're still not through the news price. They're getting close though. 29.01, right?
Gene Hibbert says, Seth, I am still looking forward to your video on writing
Wow.
strategies with NinjaScript.
Oh, writing strategies. Yeah, I do. I think that's probably going to be the project this weekend. Although we've been working on a strategy, so John was just saying earlier that it was 3 for 3. I forgot to turn on the actual strategy. So John, when you got that, were you taking them by hand or were you running the strategy? Because I forgot to turn it on. But it looks like it's profitable. It's not amazing, but it looks like it's doable, and I think if it's doable, that I want to do it. Well, I sure feel like that was a good sell, but I can take it now. Sell the low? I guess not. There we go. Well, that's not necessarily. There you go. I was like, that first one was like, well, if you're gonna take a short at the low of the day, that's not necessarily the way that you want to see it break. Oh, okay.
Bot says I don't think I have the updated strategy. Bot says I was just plotting them on the indicator.
Gene
Yeah.
Hibbert says as a programmer with 20 years experience the C# Visual Studio integration opens many doors, e.g. machine learning, etc.
So I haven't looked at machine learning algorithms, nor have I ever tried to pull in an external DLL into NinjaScript. But I want to get into it. So NinjaTrader is doing a webinar. I don't know when it is. We can go here and look in a second when I feel like I can safely like look away. But they're doing a webinar on Futures.io about a new NinjaTrader strategy generator that they're doing. So you can like give it parts and then it will do the strategy generation stuff where we'll go through and look at the recent history and find the thing that works the best and all of that stuff. And I'm really interested to see how that works, uh, especially if it gives me, uh, ways to plug in to strategies even more. Um, because the backtester is great. Like the ability to go through and like backtest your
Bot
strategy.
says isn't that webinar from Shark Indicators?
So no, that was something else. It hasn't happened yet. The Shark Indicators one is weird. So Shark Indicators has something that basically allows you to generate strategies with a GUI interface. And basically he was like, here's how you write a strategy. And he gave some okay tips on it. I think I can do a better job. That's so like egotistical of me, isn't it? But I think I can do a better
Gary Rich says
tutorial.
Seth master one or two things with trading. Stop trying everything and anything, it will save you time.
No. I don't. Well, here's the thing, Gary. I think the one thing that I master is the programming and maybe the streaming. I think that those are two things that give me an edge. Everything that I do is just based off of that. And I guess I will try some things. I've actually found things that are profitable. I found a lot of things that are profitable, but there's always issues with them that make them like not appropriate for me, right? Like the drawdown, like the strategy that John was
MYZ
talking
underscore
about.
Oj skills says, hey, could you help me?
Maybe. I mean, you should just ask your question, Maisie. No reason, just get straight to the point. It's cool. You don't have to be like this is business, you know? You don't have to be like sweet talk me and oh
Bot
hey
says
Seth,
Shark Indicators has a nice drag and drop GUI for building strategies.
yeah. That's what he said. Anyways, just ask a question.
Jose Gill says, where did you learn to code?
The university.
Gary Rich says, I'll send you a book in Discord this weekend. It will help.
Okay, Gary. I appreciate it. Because the thing that I get frustrated with is like I'll try a strategy and I will see some edge in that strategy, but then I will see something that makes me not want to trade it. So like the one that John is talking about, it works really well. It's a great strategy. I
Bot
think
says,
that
but it's not as easy when you get into more detailed approaches.
I really think that we should trade it, and I want to add some filters onto it to see if I can increase the probability, but I want to trade it. But it does have a nasty drawdown.
MYZ underscore Oj skills says, could you text stream elements URL in chat? I want to make it a mod on my stream. Kevin Wimmer says, plot twist, Gary is gonna send 50 Shades of Grey.
That doesn't make any sense. You're saying that you want the stream elements code for like the chat? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Well, I'm not too happy about how far they came back. Like I got good excursion and then they came back. I may have to bail here if it does the right things. I want to hang on though. Plot twist that Gary is going to send 50 Shades of Grey. I don't know. Anyways, I am definitely, so like this is the thing, is like I will sit down and I will focus on one thing. And I can do it for like 2 weeks. And then like with this strategy that I did, right? Or that I'm doing right now. We're doing it for 2 weeks. Definitely worked in that environment, but then yesterday we found an environment where it doesn't work very well.
MYZ_OGskills says no, I want to make Stream Elements a moderator on my stream, but I want the URL for it. Algo Lover says 9:17 a.m. Algo Lover S. If buyers maintain bid above 2,895.50, then 2,932.50 target. If 2,895.50 breaks before that target trades, then anticipate deeper pullback. Nerdface.
I still don't understand your question, dude. And I don't use Stream Elements other than for their stores, so you're probably asking the wrong person. Well, interesting.
Algo Lover says sellers just tested for buyer's face with rolling eyes.
Oh, you think that it's still long?
Algo Lover says HAGD, thumbs up.
Well, they're testing the whole news price, which I think is appropriate. Nothing conclusive yet, though, is it? They might come all the way back up here for all I know. I might have just...
Bot says wholesale inventories month over month at 10 o'clock Eastern Time.
Is there more news? Oh, you're right. There's news at the top. Expecting a negative 1%, 1.0.
Air Cages says I think he needs the Streamlabs URL to make it the moderator on the stream. You should probably comply, Seth.
You don't know what the URL is for Streamlabs? Streamlabs.com. No. And then when it says something on the stream, you right click on their name and you make it a moderator. What he's saying makes 0 sense. It's probably just I'm wondering, almost wondering if it's just to try and distract me. But now this is curious. "10 minutes to news, though. I don't know if the wholesale inventories is a huge deal.
Kevin Wimmer says distract you? That's normally my job. So about Garlicoin. Jose Gill says you got pretty good internet because if you use Streamlabs your internet is really good. Thumbs up. I've seen some shitty as lives.
Okay. We do have good internet over here. We got fiber optic. Yeah. That was what I was worried about. I think that
Air Cages says if we can do QE infinity, does that mean we're going to keep going up to infinity?
I don't know. There is a limit to it. Okay, like the Japanese stock market never reached its peak, right? There's a limit to it.
Gene Hibbert says there is a Udemy course called Hedge Fund Trading Systems where they backtest different code strategies, some of which gave a 15% plus return. They didn't use C# but would love to convert the code. Gene Hibbert says there is a
Hmm.
Udemy course called Hedge Fund Trading Systems
He
where they
came in
backtest
twice.
different code strategies, some of which gave a 15% plus return. They didn't use C# but would love to convert the code.
Well, what I will show you is kind of a couple of little tricks that I've found that help make coding the strategies.
Gary Rich says we can print till the cows come home. Bad for bonds, great for equities.
Yeah. Although the bonds have been reasonably okay. I mean, they're still pretty high up here, right? They're moving again, like it's tradable again, at least. I got a good trade on it yesterday. I was thinking about, I like it this whole time I've been thinking buying, but this most recent move up to here, maybe I could justify a buy. We'll see. It kind of looks like they might flip and that the sellers might try and sell it again.
Bot says Tick did a nice job flagging that last rotation.
Air Cages says print money to infinity and pump the markets. What could possibly go wrong?
They only came back to 0 on it, which is interesting to me.
Gary Rich says the yield sucks for bond managers. Terrible for savers who are over 50 and depend on the yield for income.
Well, the retirement system's in real trouble. Like, what are these states like New York and so forth going to do with these huge pension obligations they have? Because they can't just shed them. And the Republicans aren't going to, there's no way that any other state is going to vote to pay for that. No chance. So they could come in and they can make a rule that says, they can modify the obligation, but then that will get taken to the Supreme Court and they're going to lose. Because it's literally in the Constitution that the states can't shed obligations like that. So they're going to have to get a loan from JP Morgan or something. I don't know. That whole thing is a time bomb. Slowly ticking away.
Air Cages says will a loaf of bread cost $100 in a few years?
I don't know how long how long it takes for inflation to get it to where a loaf of bread is $100. At some point they would do a reverse split, right?
Gary Rich says well the Treasury or Fed will buy the assets or debt and sterilize the duration of time.
Maybe. I don't think actually I guess the Fed probably could buy that. I think they can. There are some things that would require an act of Congress to do, right? Like all of these loan programs, they needed Congress, right? So I don't know if that would require because politically to do some of that stuff is very difficult. So that last one was no, it's totally fine. So for there was that other cell. Okay. I haven't really been getting paid on my like I had them where they've gone for me, but then I only got 8 ticks out of them instead of 16. Could have gotten 16 on them. 904. They're really slowing down here, although I'm not seeing like absorption or anything. Oh, 10 minutes to the news. Man, this has been a long 15. That was only 5 minutes there? What?
Gary Rich says the Fed just did it in the junk bond MKT.
Yeah, they can buy
Fed
debt
can buy debt
securities.
securities,
You're right.
no congressional approval needed.
You're right. I suppose it could work. I don't know. Can't bail out everyone. I don't think that people understand this. I keep getting this idea that the Fed can just perpetually. Oh, so somebody made this really great point the other day, where there was like, okay, so if
Air
the Fed
Cages
can
says, how does
just
this compare to 2008?
if we can just inflate our way out of everything.
Chase Blossom says the Fed has not bought any junk bonds. Chase Blossom says they JSUT said they would.
Oh, they haven't done it yet, but they can. Anyways, uh, if the Fed can just inflate our way out of things, then why take taxes? You want to pay down the debt, but they're saying that you don't have to, that the Federal Reserve can just inflate it away over time. Then why taxes? Seems to me it would have been more efficient to have just told everybody you don't have to pay taxes this year. White House Economic Advisor Kudlow, reopening phase will be into May, expected to spill into June. Deterioration in job numbers expected to continue.
Gary Rich says they bought the bonds on the junk structure high grade, Corp Clo, etc., etc.
And see, I might have gotten one of those bad signals right there. Wait a second.
Gary Rich says read the Fed and Treasury statements. They bought tons of agency paper.
Okay. We're still below the open. This particular move, though, looks like it might just be a head fake. Oh my gosh. So I'm kind of wondering, will in the end the negative headlines scare people going into the weekends? So far, it doesn't seem to be really affecting them. But it's still early. Oh my gosh, I got like something in my eye there. Oh. Wait, what? Really? Uh, that's not right. Oh. I'm just watching my robot, and it took a short, but I don't think it's taking it correctly. Why is it getting into one there? Oh, because this is a minute chart, that's why. Okay. Now I understand.
Air Cages says, how do we stop 5 grams?
Oh, it took 04 and it stopped now. It's done. Okay. Fine.
Twemdog says, where's your stop, Seth?
I don't have any stop.
Air Cages says 5 grams lol.
How do we stop? Not even.
Air Cages
I would
says
like to
5G.
invest in 5G. I would like to invest in 5G. You got about a minute and a half.
Air Cages says, I feel like this is the golden age for conspiracy nuts. Air Cages says, time to pump. Let's go, baby.
Well, it seems pretty clear to me that foreign actors are intentionally boosting them. And social media groups are making it worse by saying that they
Gary
have
Rich
to
says, we
ban
can't
them
stop
to fix
5G,
it.
just grab your tinfoil hat, crank up the amps, and let's fry brains together.
It's not harmful. Low frequency electromagnetic waves are not harmful. Okay, so wholesale inventories was better than expected at negative spot 8 versus an expected negative 1 spot 0. So they doing the buying. I kind of skipped a signal there. Hmm.
Gary Rich says, I'm still holding out hope for flat Earth. Love those people.
You watched that documentary on them. What is it called? Oh my gosh. And there's some people in that community that are actually reasonably intelligent and they come up with a good experiment and the experiment proves that the earth is rotating. I think that people forget, but don't that many people out there, when I see online discussion about that, miss the point of the movie, because the point of the movie isn't that the flat Earth is stupid. The point of the movie is that social groups can influence us to believe things that are ridiculous.
Air Cages says, what about Bill Gates? Apparently he's an evil dipshit.
I don't get the Bill Gates thing. Shoot.
Gary Rich says, I watched the docu on New World Order. Holy smokes, as a trader and investor, I'm part of NWO. Proud member.
Proud member. I just think it's silly. Like there are some things that the conspiracy theory public believes that are just so out of kilter with reality about the way that the world works. But then there are some things that are going on that really need to change. Like this whole move towards more power at a global policy making level is in my opinion wrong, wrong-headed. Uh, Government always functions more efficiently on the base levels, and if it doesn't, you can usually just give them resources, and it'll work better. Like one of the things, like the thing that Bill Gates and Melinda Gates are really hitting on is they're like, we don't have a single organized response. It's all different by state. Yes, it's a good thing. If a state is doing poorly at it, then help that state do better at it. But please don't put me at the mercy of the same decisions that the Californians are making or that Michigan is making, because some of the things that they've done in other states are ridiculous. And I don't want them happening in my state, you know? But then all of the, some of the things that they think, like, you should just let everything fail. Well, that's a bad idea. It's never been like that. We've never just let things fail. There's always been bailouts. And the Bill Gates conspiracy theory thing just makes literally no sense. It's just like it seems contrived. Like there's no evidence. There's nothing, literally nothing that would ever give one reason to suspect that Bill Gates is part of some shady conspiracy theory. There just isn't. But because he's said something that they disagree with politically, they make up theories. And you know what? It's really easy to come up with a plausible theory about something. But if there's no evidence to back up that it's true, then it's nonsense. And the Bill Gates one, I really don't read a whole lot about that one. It's just it's not interesting. Oh, rich guy is evil. Oh, I've never heard that one before. Russell 2000 futures are higher by more than 2%, really. Well, everything is going green. Going green. I'm not sure.
Air Cages says it's so easy to hate on billionaires.
Yeah. There's something. So we read a report on r/economics the other day where these guys, they were putting together a simulation to determine what the best tax rates are. So they would simulate different people, and some people were poor and some people were rich, and they had different types of things that they were doing. And wow, that was a good slip up there. And then they would change the tax policy and see how the AIs responded. And so they were saying, oh, this is a way that you could change things. And they basically wanted to try and decrease income inequality. And to do that, the the government system, decided to tax people for being poor. So if you were poor, you paid more taxes than if you were rich. And so it encouraged those
Luis
people that
Alarid
were
says
poor to
mandatory
work
COVID
more.
vaccines is what I don't want.
It encouraged those poor people to work more and get themselves out of poverty. And that's how the system worked. And I'm like, why? Who cares about the inequality? Doesn't matter. Inequality is a useless metric. The metric that you care about, metric that matters, is what is the base level of quality of life. What is the lower end of the quality of life for the bottom 10% or whatever it is, right? That's the thing that matters. I don't think that economists or the people that running that simulation would ever bother to do the simulation based on that, because you know what they would find? They would find that it helps to have richer people around there, and that they end up helping those improve the standard of living for everybody. And that would be an awful thing to discover, wouldn't it? But I'm not saying that trickle down is an effective economic policy. Okay, because when you're talking about stimulus, like look at what's happening right now. They're giving firms and so forth money. You're not seeing inflation that is a problem because that money never makes it down to the bottom rung. So it's fine. Well, I mean, there's problems with it. I don't think we can say it's fine, but you don't get inflation, right? Because it doesn't trickle down. But when the economy overall does better, everybody does better. Well, they went up there. Did they touch the high?
Gary Rich says when they prove flat earth, Bigfoot, aliens, heaven and hell not as a theory, I will continue to laugh my ass off at those.
Treasuries are getting a little bit of offer pressure now. It's kind of fighting here, isn't it? I kind of should have expected that with it being 2908. Like, that move up was good. Uh, it appears that we might be good for another one, but who knows how long and how much I will have to wait for that to happen.
Air Cages says if you're living paycheck to check, hide savings under a mattress. Inflation is a terrible thing. The big companies won't feel it.
Well, the thing is I think that what we're discovering is that inflation can be a local phenomenon. I think that we've always thought of it as an overall thing. And so we're looking at inflation over everything. But what we're discovering is if you give money to a certain sector, then you'll get inflation in that sector. That's why I think that things like basic universal income are probably a really bad idea. If you give that money to people, then all of the things that regular people pay for are going to be the things where you're going to see the inflation. So groceries are going to go up, rent would go up, right? And you're making you're basically changing the pressure in the economy. Like, what kind of industries are people encouraged to work in? They're they're all going to be encouraged to work in things that have to do with selling stuff to consumers. And the other parts of the economy like services and a lot of the things that we make money on today really would hurt. And I don't think that that's how you want like, you have to sit down and think about, okay, so if we took the different sectors of the economy, what percentage do we think each sector should be of our economy? I don't think they should all be equal. Like, for instance, you don't want finance to be 80% of it, right? That would indicate a imbalance of some sort, right? But if you do basic universal income, then what's going to happen is, Best Buy is going to go up. Best Buy is going to make more money, and Goldman Sachs is going to make less money, right? Which maybe Goldman Sachs makes too much money, but that's also where a lot of the value in the U.S. economy is generated, is from investment. And so you're going to get less investment, is that slows your overall growth rate, right? So the net effect of basic universal income is lower GDP growth because of localized inflation. So versus on the other side,
Gary Rich says, have you read KPMG potential job sector losses by 2030?
no, sounds like something I would love to read. Send me that. When you send me that book, send me that link too, Gary. I'm interested now. I'm really interested to know what it is that you're going to send me. So here's something that's interesting. So some of the edges that I've been looking at in lately have been using tools that were suggested by Gary. Well, actually, derivatives of tools that were suggested, because he suggested a weighted moving average, and then I've been using a bunch of stuff that are based on weighted moving averages. It's kind of interesting, but I don't know if that was like enough just to say that. I don't think I could come in and say, hey, use weighted moving averages, that would be enough to get people profitable, right? So now I'm wondering, okay, so what book is he going to send? Is he going to suggest me to read that's going to help me out so much? It's always exciting, though. Like, I'm in a lucky position. Most people, there's this movie. Oh, I forget what it's called, but it's with Tom Hanks, and it's kind of an independent movie. And Tom Hanks was a chef, and he decides to go back to school, and he becomes friends with this girl. And there's like no romantic relationship in it at all, but this girl just decides to come in and
Luis
take over his
Alarid
life
says,
and make
nice
him a better
rise on
person.
RTY.
And she's like, this is what you should wear, and you should do this, and she rearranges his room for him. It's kind of a fantasy. Like, that sort of thing doesn't normally happen to normal people. Like, people want to let you do your own thing, and they don't come
RJ
in and
Wheels
say,
says Julia Roberts played the girl.
no, it was a young girl. It was a young African American girl, ethnic girl, I think. No, it's not. Anyways. But here on stream, that sort of thing will happen, as people will give me suggestions that end up being really useful sometimes. So it's always a little exciting. We'll see what he sends me. Of course, it could just end up being complete nonsense trash that I don't find helpful at all. We'll see. White House Economic Advisor Kudlow says had constructive meeting with the U.S. Treasury Secretary Mnuchin, China Vice Premier Liu He, and Ambassador Lighthizer. Okay, that's cool. More positive trade war deal news, I guess, is good. Treasuries. Kind of moving.
RJ Wheel says I meant Jamaica Roberts.
I don't know what it is. Yes, that's right. It was Larry Crown. I think that's what it was called. Anyways, it was a good movie. It was an interesting movie, at least. But when I watched it, I realized, well, the reason this is entertaining is because it's a fantasy. It's like people would love for somebody to come in and fix everything wrong with their life and just tell them what it is that they need to know. But more often than not, that's not what happens. I think one of the reasons that I might be unpopular sometimes is that I have a tendency to come in and tell people to come in and tell people the things that they need that would help them the most, but it's not what they want to hear. Like, hey, I'm having trouble trading. What should I do? Well, trading is really hard. Don't waste too much money doing it. What else can you say? Even if Gary Rich gives me a really great book and is really useful here, chances are, and everybody was given that resource, chances are most people would still lose money, right? So it's competitive. Only so many people can actually be profitable. At least half of the people have to fail, at least, right?
Air Cages says don't ask me.
We've been pretty chatty today. Hmm. Okay, so we need to find out what our targets. What is our volatility projection target? Well, it's above yesterday's high, 934. I don't know if we're gonna start making a real move up there without having a pullback first. It looks okay for
Bot
now.
says plus 50% 2,935.15.
Yeah. They are slightly different still, but only by a few points.
Bot says 50% 2,880.85.
Well, I think the probability favors up, right? Wondering if they've turned the treasuries now or not. I can see, I need to do this. I don't like doing this because it makes it harder for me to see it, but I think in this case I need to do it. so it's happening because the offer's pulled off. So I suppose if you still think treasuries are a sell, then now is the time to do it right now. They're not like fiddling around or anything. Like it's 2,000 by 1,000. Oh, he takes it. Okay. I don't know.
Bot says that Soren Strat looks like 5 for 5 on the chart so far since 8:30.
So I think that you're taking it differently than the robot. Wait, what's the robot got right now? It took one at the robot took a buy at 07 and stopped out. What was that? Error message. Yeah. API not responding very quickly again. So I think, John, that what's happening is you're taking it before the end of the bar, aren't you?
Bot says that's not what I'm seeing on the indicator. Bot says no.
No. Well, do I have it set up wrong? No, it's on a 4 range bar, 3 for 3. It sold it. Don't know what to tell you. I looked at the indicator too, and I said I don't quite see why it's taking it where it did. Because it did. It tried to sell 04 instead of what I see as 05 here. Anyways, not gonna worry about it. That last one that I just did right there, I don't know if that was just random luck, but that one worked out exactly the way I had it envisioned it in my mind.
Bot says this is what I have so far, 5 signals.
Well, it's giving me a long right now. Oh, yours are so hard to read, dude. That looks right, though. But it just gave another one. Did the robot take it? It did. It bought it.
Bot says then the strat is different from the indicator.
No, I did it. It just got a different price, that's all. So, like, it's taking it.
Gary Rich says it's PWC not KPMG, sorry. In this report I look for companies to buy long.
Bot says mine just went long at 180.08.
Yep. but it didn't. It wouldn't have gotten to 08. Because so we need to change the entry strategy. We need to change it to a limit order. I don't know if this makes sense. Let's see if it makes it with what it got. It took 09.
Bot says 10 hours 24 minutes and 30 seconds, 074 bar using an ETH trading hours template.
It doesn't matter. Run the strategy. What you see the arrow do on the chart doesn't tell you about. That's where that falls down, is you don't know if you would have gotten that price. See, it's saying when it got the close of the bar and it took exactly what it wanted, it was actually bid 08, 09, and so it hit into 09 because we're not using a limit order. Whereas when you're looking at the chart, it's using what was the open close of that bar, and so it tells you that it got 08 when that wasn't the case.
Gary Rich says Seth sent you the link for the PDF in Discord.
Thank
It's
you.
too long to post here.
It's PDF. You dude. He sent me the PDF says, "Will robots really steal our jobs?" So I think Gary Rich is saying that what we're trying to do will never work because the robots will always be me. It might be right. And just make really good robots. We're kind of fighting it. It looks like the pressure is still up and everything, but the sellers don't want to give into it. Like this bar right here on the 1 minute. Yeah.
Gary Rich says automation will take good paying jobs away. Very scary.
Right, but what if you are one of the people making all of the automation? Because that's kind of what I do. My job is basically like my day job. My day job is basically when all of the robots don't work correctly. How do we know about that, and what do we do about it? And my primary responsibility is, how do we find out about that? It used to be that my primary job was, how do we prevent that? I'm not so sure that I'm cut out for the, what do we do when that happens?
Gary Rich says we need a new jobs deal plan for the 22nd century. Amazon warehouse is a clear warning.
Well,
Sebastian
there's...
Marquez says hola Seth, de vuelta otra vez disfrutando de tus transmisiones.
We need to go translate that. They're getting the outside bars here. That's what's going on. The price discovery is starting again, even though you can't see it yet. Oh, back again, enjoying your broadcast. Thank you so much. It's been a while. I'm glad to have you back. What is Dick doing here? I'm not sure that in the long run, more jobs. I mean, the thing is people aren't. At least I don't think that people are just going to sit on their butts all day. I think there is a limit to how long somebody can be lazy. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm a more motivated person than most people, but I think that yeah, I'm just looking at this coronavirus thing, and you're stuck in your apartment for so long. Like eventually, you start doing something. Like people will find ways to create value one way or another, and it will result in new industries. See him? It's fast. I guess it is 8:30. How do I need something. I'm just gonna it's gonna I gotta make it chart on my chart. That's what I gotta do to warn me about that counter trend period. So I always forget, and I'm always like, well, it's slow. I don't know if this is ever gonna go. Yada yada yada. And then I say, oh, it's a counter trend period. Oh, now all of this action makes more sense. Feels so dumb.
Gary Rich says the service sector will get hit hardest by automation. I'm looking for those robotic companies along every area to go long.
Mm. I've noticed, in the software development arena that um, we're very much getting into. There's a lot of menial, like there's a lot of situations where there's a technology that we're using that is relatively new, and we're finding all of the functions and everything that really help you get on top of it and do things faster and easier. And so we've been going through a process the past 10 years, and I think that it will go on for another 10 years because you got to get them all up to snuff where we finally get all of those things through, and you're getting you know the software development life cycle will be cleaner, and then maybe you can spend more time writing the software. But I think that lay people overestimate the capabilities that we have in terms of like software writing
Bot
itself.
says just sent you a time slot reminder tool in Discord PM.
Oh, I knew you'd come through for me, John. Oh yeah, that's right. IR time slot. And custom indicators. Oh, I already have it. You just have to add it on there. Hmm. I'm wondering or working on thinking about a new theory because I've been talking to some guys that they've been doing like scalping, and they're only taking a point on ES, and they're shooting for 70% accuracy. And I've done that
Bot says you
like,
can set the opacity to 0 if you only want to see the lines.
okay, I've only done it like 5 times, but it's worked pretty good so far. I'm wondering if maybe, well, of course, I think the thing is if I start looking for it, then it might become like I might make them up in my mind and they might come more often. And then that'll bring the accuracy down. But it's something worth investigating at some point. I don't know. I think there's other things that we're more concerned about right now, isn't there?
Bot says or set it to 5 to make it softer.
I think it should make it soft. Let me add it when maybe when we're out of this, or if we make a new hire or something, I can go over there and look at it. I want to keep watching this because I want to see how it plays out. It appears to me that there was, after 8:30 came, some action as they tried to start the price discovery process, and somebody was trying to shove it down, and he wasn't very successful at it at all. Well, we'll see. He could come back.
Gary Rich says not everyone can become a software person. Think of automated driverless truck driving, bus drivers, etc. Anything with a fixed point-to-point.
Well, but the tools are going to come along that are going to help people make those to become those sorts of things. People are going to have to learn to code, basically, which is not such a bad thing. Kind of makes you wonder with after coronavirus, how many jobs are going to just go in remote, and how much, how many less bus drivers are we going to need because of that? So I'm sure you saw that report that from I think it was Goldman saying that because businesses are going to be less likely to to fly people out for a meeting, that would affect things by like 21 million barrels a day or something like that. It was like seemed like a significant number to me. Travel less, then yeah, some things are going to be more automated. There's a lot of things that we're so far away from automating. Like, I think maybe when I am like in my 60s, 70s, 80s, maybe they will have automated house building. You can make a house automated right now, but it's not a very nice house. You couldn't build this house automated right now.
Gary Rich says a lot of people in the labor force will lose their jobs or reduction in those sectors. It's coming in less than 10 years.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time that a lot of people lost jobs in a certain sector, right? I mean, what do you think the Industrial Revolution was? People are going to have to start working different kinds of jobs. I have been teaching my kids the skills that I think are going to be important in the future, that I don't think the school system teaches them. One of them is coding.
RJ Wheel says blacksmiths hate Amazon.
You know what? So freaks talking about that. I tell you what, there are some things out there that I would like. So I would like to get a different mic stand. This one, you can pretty much hear everything like that I'm doing with the mouse and on all of that. So I would like one that is kind of like with a spring so that it's off,
Gary
don't
Rich
want
says the new
one.
normal unemployed will be a 40 to 50 years old individual. That's scary. We need to do better for those.
It needs to be in my face right here. It needs to be close, but I don't want one that comes down from the top and blocks the view of my screen. I need to see over it. So I need one that comes under my screen and up. They make such a thing. So like OC White makes a microphone stand that is perfect, and it's $300. So it's a piece of metal with some springs in it. They sell it for $300. I don't think that it costs that much for them to make. I think that if somebody else was offering a stand like that they could probably sell it for significantly less. But because there's not a whole lot of market demand for it, nothing happens. Comes this seller again. Limit orders are being slow to respond this time. You know what? This is actually quite a bit like yesterday, isn't it? Not quite as frustrating, but you kind of got the things seem to be suggesting one way. And oh, by the way, it did take the long. The robot got its long and was filled. I don't think that this is going to perform quite the way that it backtested, because when I look at the backtest, very often it's getting 4, but it's only supposed to be taking 3, and some of them are in news. So that's one thing we got to do is we got to go in and tell it not to trade during that time. Zero Hedge tweets this is GovTrader. A V-shaped recovery
Bot
will
says
not
it
be
would have been
possible.
nice to have had an opportunity to learn to code when I was in school.
Today's job losses reflect a 40% GDP crash. Oh, that's a pretty ugly downturn there.
Bot says unfortunately the PC wasn't born yet.
Yeah. I should have gotten out of this a long time ago. I'm just going to let it do its thing. In fact, I'm going to risk 10.
Bot says it didn't become a thing until after the first moon landing.
Gary Rich says remember Seth, you one day might be or could be replaced by a AI algo. It could happen, better get this trading successful. It could happen, chance favors the prepared mind.
I will always be one step ahead of the robot. For my day job at least, probably not for the day trading. I would just own all of the robots. Clearly, that's the place to be, right? Is owning robots. When he becomes available on the market, I get my robot, and I'll send him out after he cooks me breakfast in the morning. I will send him out during the day to do day labor. Now we're getting into like Matrix level shit, right? You ever seen the Animatrix? Oh man.
Gary Rich says, hey man, I look into the future and plan now for then. I'm a very deep thinker. There is always a company to go long for the future.
Okay, well, that was a pretty solid downturn, but it does look like they're creating a pivot here. Yep, pivot low. 2903. Two-year yield falls to another record low, really. Oh, the treasuries are all up. It's interesting that they never flipped it. It just stayed bid the whole day. Huh. The terrible U.S. jobs report gets worse the more you read it. It says 538. Hmm. Oh, I forgot we're below 2908. How far did this go at one point? It looks like a positive development. Outside bar, green. Oh, and a signal. I think I'm getting a couple of reasons that I could go long here. Well, one thing that kind of gives me pause, though.
Bot says the moon landing in 1969 brought on the R&D that gave us the LEDs that lit numbers in the first digital watches and spawned advances in the development of microprocessors.
Well, you really couldn't even get a personal computer until like the 80s, right? So
Gary Rich says if we finish basically flat like 0.50%, it's not a good sign for Sunday.
Bot says the first digital electronic watch, a pulsar LED prototype in 1970.
it was an electronic watch in the 70s.
Bot says Strat just went short.
Maybe. Yes. But see, it tells me that it got 16, right? So I'm going to guess that you took 15, right? Simple fix, but today we need to exclude it from trading during certain time periods, and have it use the limit order.
Bot says 16.
Oh, so they're in line this time. It just kind of depends on at that moment what the bid ask is. Because the strategy is going to use the last trade as the close of the bar, but that might not necessarily be what the bid ask
Bot
is.
says no, I am running the strat.
Oh, you are running the strat. Oh, you weren't before, but you turned it on after we were having differences between that and the chart. I get you. Now,
Bot says I made the changes you made last night.
oh, okay. So now the other one, the one on the ES, it's doing something interesting that I haven't seen before. It's giving me 2 longs in a row, but it hasn't moved. I can see that the book is, there's more bids than offers. But
Bot says I'm using 3-tick profit target and 3-tick stop loss.
yeah. Oh, this one is too. I didn't change it. I didn't change that. I just changed it so that I could automate that parameter and run a thing. I think so. So once we limit the time period that is trading, what I want to do is I want to take everything that we've done in a treasury trade and add it in there as an optional parameter to include on there, and then we will. So we might have like 16 different things, and then we'll have it try all of the possibilities. So 16, 2 to the 16, 2 to the 16 iterations, and just have it run all night, which I've done before and told me interesting things. We'll see what it does. Although one of the things is that when we were testing it last night, the first test was like, oh, it takes way too many trades. But over the 2-year period, it's actually a pretty good amount of trades per day that it takes. So I'm concerned that if we filter it too much, that it won't take very many trades, and that'll be a problem.
Masiak says it bots not too tightly.
Yeah, it's a tight trade. The issue I'm having with it right now is that the drawdown on it is, it's had at least one drawdown that was pretty steep. It was like 70 ticks. Now, some of that might have been news. So we got to exclude that, but it's still a problem. Okay, well, in the counter trend period, they pretty much just went nowhere. Yeah, after the counter trend period, they pretty much have not done much of anything either. They're trying to make a move to the upside, but I'm not seeing a lot of like oomph to it or anything. I'm starting to wonder if there's that many people looking at it right now. That's no good.
Gary Rich says the 2 years new yield low, 10 years gonna test 30 bits per second. The ZQ and Eurodollar futures pricing in Fed funds 0 to negative rate.
So why isn't the why isn't the longer end of the curve responding as strongly? They gonna just catch up?
Masiak says yay going down.
Oh, did it get it? No, it got stopped. That's what happened. I don't understand. $20 was touched. How come 13 wasn't touched?
Gary Rich says Fed is targeting that, but the rate of change is slower. More bond managers will buy the long end for price appreciation. The short end, the bond guys are leaning hard on those.
I don't understand. I'm going to debug this a little bit because it went long at 16. It should have gotten it, but it says that it took a stop loss, which makes no sense at all. 13 was never touched.
Bot says something wrong with your strat.
There's something wrong with some piece of code. I think that if I go in and I set the orders in manually, that it'll fix it. But I'm not sure what the deal is because 13 was not touched, was it? So I don't know why it took a stop loss. Did yours take a stop loss? I mean, this isn't a surprising thing. Like, we've had some weird issues before where if you just use the enter long and enter
Gary
short,
Rich says could be slippage.
it would. So what is happening is we got the robot running on sim. So it got in at 16. It's supposed to bail at 13. 13 was not touched, but it still took the stop loss for some reason. So I don't understand. Because to me, it looks like.
Bot says when I had it set to 3 and 3 it did.
It's so weird. I've definitely got something weird set up in there wrong. Orders. It says buy to cover at 13. I don't know. Oh, now wait, hold on a second.
Bot says I reset mine to a tick 3 target with an 8 tick stop loss.
Oh, yours, did yours buy? Did yours buy? I think I got something else wrong in there because it should have. No, it sold. It sold and then it got out, and that's correct. It sold at 16. Did yours sell at 16? I'm looking back and I'm like, where did it buy? No, it got stopped out correctly.
Bot says it sold 16.
Why did yours sell 16? Well, we're going to have to get together afterwards and see what the deal is with that, because that's weird. Why did mine? It shouldn't have bought. We've made some weird difference in the code because it should have. There's no reason that it should have been buying there. It's crossing down through the line. Well, it's still being really volatile here. Not entirely sure what to make of this. It's been a while now, though. Shoot. I should flip in reverse, right? Did that? Yeah, it did. Interesting. The treasuries seem to. So I think it's the robot's about to go long here. I think that this makes a lot of sense. Nope. I don't know what. Didn't get the right price, apparently.
Bot says correct.
Gary Rich says when it covers, does it cover at the close of the next candle or average of it?
It just sets a target. 3 ticks away. Freaky move there. US dollar takes a turn to the downside. Says live, Forex live. See it. I don't know if that's what it was. Now it's telling me to fucking buy again. You gotta be kidding me, right? They went and stopped us out, then they went higher. On a freak sell move that who knows. I have to look, where was we at? Huh. Well, went much further than where my stop was, apparently. That one didn't work out at all. Man, I'm going back and looking at it, and I guess that we need to take off those ZB ones. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. It's like, we're really taking that many trades? I guess the ZB never ended up being able to take the trade. It came close. Okay. Okay. Well, if they make a new high, could be pretty exciting. Well, I think I should step away for a second. I'll be right back. Sorry, I know you guys are probably saying a bunch of shit, right? Actually, you should. How far back did you test that strategy? Don't say 3 years. I've only been doing it 2 years. I'm not done testing it, Gary. Oh yeah, and we fixed the bug. Oh, I'm muttering. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be really vague, so. No, we did not. I backtested it over 2 years of data. I will do it over more, but it takes a long time to do a test like that, right? And if I want to test out different things, um, for the purposes of quicker iteration, I'm doing it on a smaller time period. So 2 years was kind of like, okay, more than that, and I got to have something that I feel confident in. So I'm just going through, a couple of different filters and stuff that I know to see if I can improve things, its selection at all. Um, it does appear to be bullish-ish. Like it does really, really well at the beginning of this year. Um, but I digress. Says your short got filled. So you didn't get well, that doesn't make much sense, but whatever. Oh, you gave it an 8 tick stop. I see. That's funny. That's funny. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Doesn't look like I missed too much. It's still where it was. At the moment, this is looking okay. If it pops, I hope it does it before we gotta go. Yeah, so John, when I was doing my back testing yesterday, I did this thing where I had it try all of the different combinations of stop and targets, and it was actually saying that you made the most if you had like a 2 tick target and a 16 tick stop. But of course, we know that the probability of that working out in the future are incredibly low. So, does it surprise me that holding your, you know, giving it a little bit of room helped kept it in it. But I think in that one, it got a really bad head fake, right? My tenure is kind of a little tipsy turvy. Could probably go either way here. I guess likely down since the treasuries are moving up. Hmm. Nice. Kind of a finicky price there at 29.10, isn't it? deal. One fought a little bit more than I thought, but everything about it was good. I don't think that it ever went against me. Yeah. So far, it's turning into a good trade. Okay, so not quite the high. 3 more ticks in E-mini. Treasury's starting to show that downside pressure. John says we just got back. We're still just eyeing that regular session high in ES to see if they bust it. Hey, that's pretty good. There's the cumulative delta is not equalized, so I think there could probably be a lot more of that. Is that the high, or they're just the regular? Yeah, just the regular session high. So I guess no reason for them to get super excited yet. Although at the same time, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump up to 29.18. So, anyways, I guess the other thing I was saying was that in the treasuries now you can see in the 10-year the pressure on the offer. It started coming down before but now that they're putting the pressure on it, that seems to suggest that maybe they want more. In fact, there's a downtick right there at 07. What was our target again? Well, we'll see. I still kind of want to see if I can ever get the swing, which is kind of get it close to the open and all the way to the target. We'll see if we can ever actually do it. Looks like this one is already coming back pretty hard. Oh, I didn't catch there that Bitcoin took another good, would you say, jump? Pretty solid jump up. Just to 10,000, but still. New York Fed nowcast tracks quarter two growth at negative 30%. Okay, well, it's 9:31. Pretty quiet. It's been pretty quiet overall today, but I appreciate you guys stopping by anyways. I actually still had a good number of people come in, just not sticking around. I guess it's not as exciting. Like the earlier in the week, it was like early positions and on a lot, and today it was a little quieter, and I wasn't focus on them as much, and we talked way too much at the beginning. Anyways, I'd like to see if we get to that target. So I guess I will just kind of sit here and chill. I think that I've got it in a spot where I'm comfortable. So we'll see if it makes it there. I have it set up there, right? Yeah. Okay. So I'll let you guys know in the comments how it ends up working out. And I'll see you guys on Monday. Hopefully I do a video this weekend, probably about strategies. Yeah. And in the meantime, stay profitable, friends.